Valero says it's moving ahead to shut down its California refinery after talks with officials fail. So you've constricted that supply. Which way is gas going to go, up or down? You got it. Up. How bad? Let's get into it. Here we go. Here's a pretty great clip from John Coble Radio in California.
California has a safe, affordable, and reliable supply of transportation fuels during our energy transition over the next 2 decades. You see, even when he's panicking and begging companies to come and bail him out, he's still carrying on about our energy transition. I direct you to redouble the state's efforts to work closely with refiners. Well, you have to get rid of the regulations and you have to get rid of the taxes. We even work closely with the refiners. And do what? They can't make money. They're getting out of business, which is what you wanted.
Yep.
You just were counting on the electric car industry and I guess the federal government to build you an electrical grid and a charging station network. And they didn't. Joe Biden failed at that. They threw billions of dollars into a charging station network and hardly any charging stations were built. So Biden failed. There was never a plan for an electricity grid, and the car makers can't sell this crap. I'm directing you to reinforce the state's openness, get this, to a collaborative relationship and our firm belief that Californians can be protected from price spikes.
This is good.
You created the price spikes. We have to be protected from you. He always makes it sound like there's these mysterious alien forces that are surging the price of oil. No, it's you. It's you. It's 100% you.
That's why I wanted to play this clip, because whenever Gruesome Newsom, podcaster Newsom, talks about this stuff, there's always literally this mysterious, out in the ether type entity to blame for any of these problems. And it's like, no, these are all self-inflicted. Your gasoline is the most expensive in the nation, or neck and neck with Washington State because of self-inflicted policies, self-inflicted taxation, constricting the supply of oil. California, you got your own special blend of herbs and spices that go into your fuel. You got this really clean. And now, what does big business say? Yep, we're done here. So Gruesome Newsom got exactly what he wanted, which is to basically put the California refinery business out of business. Phillips 66. Yeah, we're going to read about that. They're closing up one of their refineries, and Valero is this is a story that came out today-ish, and they've had those talks to kind of work closely with California. And no, they went nowhere. They went absolutely nowhere, because at the end of the day, California and all of its policies point in a different direction than big oil is going. Meaning they don't want big oil. They just don't want it, right? So they will do everything they can to push it out, and it's working. It's working. That's what leadership in California has wanted for years. They want big oil out because they hate big oil, because they want to go with, renewable energy sources, clean, green energy sources. Yeah. In the meantime, your working class in California is going to have yet another spike in prices because gas is going to go up. Valero Energy said Thursday it's moving forward with its plan to close its 145,000 barrel a day Benicia refinery in California by next spring. April is when they said they're going to close it, following talks with state officials about options to keep it running. Remember, California had the California Energy Commission looking around to see if we can find a buyer. Anybody want a slightly used refinery in California? They're doing that. What a try for. What a Hail Mary. Hey, got a bridge to sell you in the desert. We've been in discussions with California, but nothing has materialized out of that. because the discussions over the last 30 years have been, we don't want you here in California side. We don't want you here because we're so progressive and we're so green. We only use clean energy. I mean, never mind the fact that we're having to get a whole bunch of our oil shipped into us from the Middle East on big shipping containers. That's how California's getting their oil, because they've cut their own refinery capability and pipelines, and they've got their own, and they're just regulations and taxation. Refineries don't want to operate in that kind of environment. They'll go elsewhere. I mean, go screw yourself, California. And unfortunately, California, by doing so, anybody who needs anything to do with gasoline, with fuel, with jet fuel, going to pay the price in increased costs, right? Valero said in April it would cease refining operations of its Benicia by the end of April 2026, while recording a combined $1.1 billion pre-tax impairment charge for the Benicia and Wilmington refineries in California. California Energy Commission and state officials reportedly have been working to find a buyer for the Benicia refinery. I mean, what does that look like? How's that going to work? That's like, hey, you want to buy a 7-Eleven in the middle of just some absolutely hideous ghetto, right? It's pretty good. It's pretty active. Got a lot of people middle of the night. There's folks everywhere, right? And exploring other options to keep the plant in operation. Good luck with that. That's not happening. Valero, Lane Riggs, said on the earnings call that the company will continue to supply fuel for its California wholesale operations after the refinery closes, and it plans to import waterborne barrels into the state from anywhere in the world. They're just going to bring them in willy-nilly. Doesn't matter. We're going to bring them in. Bring them on in. Riggs also said $230 million improvement project at its St. Charles, Louisiana refinery will begin operating next year's quarter two. Project will allow the refinery to produce more high-value products, including high-octane alkylate. So let's take a little look back in history and see how well that, working closely. New plan could prevent Valero refinery plant in Benicia from closing next year, report says. At the end of the day, keeping a refinery open in California is more key to anything else. Well, kind of. And that didn't happen because at the end of the day, California leadership, they don't want to have refineries in their state because they're so virtue signaling. They just, they can only stand green. Oh, look at how well we're doing for the environment as they literally bring in millions of gallons on a oil shipping container ship. Oil container ship. I mean, it's just, it's madness. But it's also really predictable because this is what progressivism looks like, right? This is it. Oh, we're so progressive. Oh, guys, gas prices are going up. Gas prices are going up. Right now, Washington State, we pay like 55% more than the rest of the country because of our progressive nature of our government, which has done this cap and trade nonsense, told us, it's only going to be a few pennies. And now we're like $1 a gallon in taxes more than the rest of the country. It might be $1.50. I don't know, whatever it is. But right now we're paying in Washington State, we're paying close to $5 a gallon. And I'm seeing you guys are sending me pictures of, I paid $2.50 today, filled up my whole truck for under $100. So I'm like, that's nice. That's great for you. Yeah, it's what you get when you live in a Democrat-run city, in a Democrat-run state, in a Democrat-run region, West Coast, Best Coast, right? For highest gas prices. But state lawmakers may be stepping in to help. California could pay hundreds of millions of dollars to cover maintenance costs at the Valero's plant. Nope, that didn't happen. Didn't find a buyer. We're not really helping out, not really going that direction. We're closing the damn thing. Benicia is home to 26,000 people, and this is going to be a massive blow. Its the biggest employer is Valero Energy Corporation with about 400 workers. Massive blow to the local. That sucks. That absolutely sucks. But you know what? This has been coming for a long time because California has had up its ass with its leadership wanting to do this virtue signaling thing. And the end result is that those who can afford it the least are going to be impacted the most. Oh, your gas is going to go to $5.50. Your gas is going to go to $6. I think gas will go to mid-5s in a heartbeat. I think it will, just because. Does it go to 6? Oosh, not good. The rest of the country, gas prices are literally falling. We're watching, West Coast, Best Coast, upper left USA, Washington State. I'm looking at like what stuff is in Texas, looking at stuff is in like Florida. It is way cheaper. Wait, sometimes with and we hate to say this, sometimes with a 2 in front of it. Half. People are paying half as much for gas as I am here in Washington State because of our genius politicians and lawmakers. Let's keep going. Potential Valero refinery closure leaves Benicia and state officials scrambling for alternatives. What does that look like? Week after Valero announced plans to idle, restructure, or seize, and they chose seize, right? They said, hey, maybe we'll just, put it on ice for a little bit. We'll come back to it and see if it, grabs at us as far as something we want to be doing. Or maybe we'll restructure the refinery. Well, we'll do some of this. We'll do some of that. Maybe a little remodeling. We'll update the kitchen and the baths. No. Or seize. Boom. That's what they've chosen. But they decided to say idle, restructure, or seize because then it looks softer. Hey, we're considering all of our options. We might choose to just idle it. And then you guys have jobs for when you come back. And that's not the case. I do think there's a genuine interest in California to avoid the closure, Richard Walsh, Valero's executive vice president, said during the call. But he quickly added, our current intent right now is to close the refinery. And that's what we talked about a ton. Was they're just going to close this bad boy. California has been pursuing policies to move away from fossil fuels for really like the last 20 years. The most stringent and difficult of anywhere else in North America. That's why gas is so much. Because you got a bunch of numbnuts, you got a bunch of knuckleheads running around creating policy that all it does is make everything cost more. Make everything cost more because it's not just what you're paying at the pump. It's what everybody else in your ecosystem is paying at the pump. All those people that got to get goods to my favorite mini mart, that's going to cost more because gas has gone from to fuel, for airplanes, for jets. Yeah, that's going to go up. It's going to go up. Anything to do with transport, all the 18-wheelers, well, we're going to pay a little bit more. All of that stuff. It all, just about everything that we touch has some sort of production quality dependent upon fossil fuels. So California going down this virtue signaling pathway is not shocking. And it's kind of like it's watching that slow motion train wreck and getting out that popcorn and going, let's see how this ends. This is one of those dying moment podcasts, right? They're closing it. Closed. We need Metal Leo to go out to Valero's place in Benicia and just, do a camera shot through the gate with nothing coming out of the smokestack. Closed. Just everything all boarded up, shuttered up. I don't know what they do with the refinery, but it can't be good. Maybe they make it the next sequel for Mad Max, right? Remember that little refinery they had? And then they drove off in the big rig that was filled with gas, or was one of the other rigs filled with gas? I can't remember. I need to revisit that. That was an epic movie. That was the first. Road Warrior. That's some good stuff. Everything depended upon gas. Everybody was running around murdering, raping each other over gasoline because that's what runs the world. And this whole notion of, beyond 2035, we're not going to sell any cars that are, gas related. And you're like, good luck with that. That's just stupid. That was a stupid plan. Oh, we're so clean. We're so green. Oh, feels so good to be so high and mighty. And you're left with, okay, whatever. Wild stuff. But this is that point in the system of, we're shutting her down, boys, and ain't coming back. And there's nothing you can do to bring us back. It's that spouse who has taken the abuse for as long as they can, and they kind of get to that point and they make that decision to close the door and, yep, I'm walking out on you. I'm going with somebody new who doesn't have the ridiculous attitude towards our relationship here that you do. Californians, this is one more thing that's just going to make life more expensive. And I feel your pain. Here in Washington State, our expenses are going through the roof because we've got similar leadership to California, similar leadership at the state level. And we've got, our local leadership oftentimes follows that kind of thing. And Seattle in particular, it's a train wreck, absolute train wreck. So we're going to have more podcasts down the road. Make sure you're subscribed, do all that good stuff. I'll see you on the next episode. Thanks for joining. See you on the next one. Bye for now.